Dragon Ball Z has influenced almost every shonen action series to come out after it, and it's been tried to be copied in the forms of other shows. One Piece is the only thing close enough in popularity to have overtaken it, and that's only over in Japan. Even both of its direct sequels, Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super, haven't been able to recapture its magic, with the former being a weird shit show and the latter being, well, I'm gonna make a video about it eventually, so let's just say it sucks more than just Dragon Balls. It's hard to emulate something so iconic, and you'd think that the creator himself would be able to write something just as amazing over again. But the best thing to recreate Dragon Ball is a show that not only makes fun of Dragon Ball, but embraces everything that makes it great. Team 4 Star's Dragon Ball Z Abridged is the most lovingly crafted Abridged series out there besides Sword Art Online Abridged. There's a really cool, and much more popular than me, guy named Explanation Point who did a breakdown of what makes SAO Abridged so great. He might have also helped me make my first video back in January. Links to those videos in the description. Much like the original, DBZ Abridged has also inspired many creators. The amount of Abridged series to hit YouTube since DBZ Abridged came out is fucking astounding, but none of them live up to the quality of DBZ Abridged. Only the aforementioned SAO Abridged has been able to match it in writing and structure. Most other Abridged series follow the stylings of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, which came out a whole 2 years before DBZ Abridged. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, more than anything, is just a constant flow of memes. It's a lot of fluff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but DBZ Abridged strives for something with more substance, that can give you something to think about while at the same time being wildly entertaining. While SAO Abridged takes its original material, beats it into submission, and comes out with a better product, DBZ Abridged takes its original material, embraces what makes it so iconic, and expands upon concepts that they introduce. The characters in DBZ Abridged have the same personalities as their original counterparts, ramped up to "Holy fuck, why does Goku have a wife and child?" levels of exaggeration. In the original Dragon Ball, Goku can be an airhead, but he's never outright stupid. In DBZ Abridged, Goku is a complete idiot with moronic feats ranging from letting his opponent power up to full strength for the promise of 2 pizzas to not knowing where babies come from. The most interesting and possibly stupidest things that the other characters berate Goku for is when he puts his faith in others in life or death situations. When Frieza first comes to Earth, Goku doesn't help his friends because he wanted to give them a chance, a choice that would have ultimately killed all of them if Trunks hadn't been there. When he and Gohan come out of the Hypebonics rhyme chamber, he's completely unconcerned with actually being able to beat Cell, as he's already put his faith in Gohan, going so far to tell Chi-Chi not to worry about Gohan being killed because if he loses, then the whole world is doomed anyway. His faith in others is contrasted by the faith that others have in him. Through the whole series, every battle is seen as a buffer until Goku gets there. When the Saiyans come to Earth, they wait for Goku to come back and save them. In the Frieza arc, they wait for Goku to get to Namek, and then they wait for him to be healed so he can fight Frieza himself. When the androids are first awakened, Trunks literally says, "There's no way we can fight them without Goku!" Everyone has the idea that because Goku is the strongest, then everyone else should sit and wait for him to arrive. The only one who doesn't see it this way is Vegeta, and Goku respects him for that. When Vegeta gets killed by Freezer, Vegeta questions, "Why didn't you block that one?
I thought you had it!"
Not only is this another example of Goku putting his faith in someone, but it legitimizes Goku's respect for Vegeta's strength. He had every intention of letting Vegeta handle the beam that puts a fucking hole in his chest, even though he clearly sees that Vegeta is broken on the ground. A decision that makes him look about as smart as the pile of shit that my dog shat out this morning. In the original, Vegeta gets killed because the blast was just too quick to react to. But the abridged version gives context to what Goku thinks about Vegeta. Goku respects Vegeta so much that when Freezer kills him, we see a legitimately sad moment when he buries Vegeta. This is one of, if not the most serious scene that Goku has. His stupidity juxtaposes the actual remorse he feels for Vegeta's death. In an instance like this, I like to compare Goku to the character of Michael Scott from The Office. What's the first thing you think of when you hear the name Michael Scott?
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Michael has a goofy and often idiotic personality while trying to lead everyone at the Dunder Mifflin office, but that's not what makes him a likable guy. It's the serious, down-to-earth moments that make him endearing. It's his loving, caring attitude towards his coworkers that gives his character more depth than just the guy that says,
"That's what she said!"
Goku doesn't have many times to shine in that way, but when he does, it's very effective. The death of Vegeta is possibly Goku's best moment in the series, even though it's short-lived. Vegeta might be my favorite character in the Abridged series. That's probably the same for a lot of people, and Team 4-Star understand what makes him work so well. Bravado and arrogance are the name of the game, and Vegeta is kicking more ass at it than Bruce Lee does shitting all over these two guys at ping pong. With a pair of nunchucks. God damn, look at him go! From beginning to end, Vegeta is the epitome of pride. Every battle he fights is full of cocky remarks and his smug attitude. He learns very early on that everything in the series exists to piss him the fuck off. Nappa and him have a common dynamic going on. A goofy idiot goon and the proud straight man is the basis of their relationship, but Nappa's constant annoyance grinds Vegeta to his core. When he kills Nappa, one annoyance is traded for another as he has to fight Goku. But the price Vegeta pays for it changes his character ever so slightly from the original. See, Goku is just as much of an annoyance to him as Nappa. The only difference is that Goku is strong enough to challenge him. From there, it only gets worse, as not only the gap in Vegeta and Goku's power widens, but then he has to rely on him when Freezer kills him. Vegeta's past weighs heavily on him, as he and Freezer have a lot of implied history with each other, a lot more than there was in the original. Freezer compares him to
putting down old Space Yella.
Vegeta feels truly helpless as he puts his faith in Goku to avenge their race as the last remaining Saiyan. This feeling would only follow as Vegeta attains Super Saiyan, but still isn't treated on the same level as Goku. When the androids wake up, their only focus is on Goku. They actively ignore Vegeta until he directly challenges them. It's here that Trunks tells Vegeta that he needs to wait for Goku, and those words in itself are an insult to him. At this point, Vegeta still has no respect for Goku, so not only is he insulted when the androids ignore him, but then it's amplified by Trunks' statements. His brutal defeat to Android 18 destroys his pride, and while it's one of the funniest moments in the series, it still conveys Vegeta's absolute confidence in himself. After his loss, he's quick to say that he underestimated 18 and shifts the blame to Trunks. His confidence is only completely shattered after his fight with Cell. When Vegeta fights Second Form Cell, he exudes arrogance, and his confidence changes the way he interacts with Cell. His snarky quips are simple and straightforward.
Hello, ugly.
And he only gets serious when Cell asks him to go get Goku. Dear God, his fight against Cell is the perfect example of what makes him a unique character. Letting Cell transform is what the original does, but the abridged version takes an already brutal scene and makes it even worse. Cell not only toys with Vegeta, but delivers the one line that separates all his other beatings from this one. Cell tells him to remember his place and wait for Goku. This one line changes Vegeta's entire perspective on himself. He's lumped in with the rest of them. This means compared to Cell, Vegeta is as insignificant as Piccolo, Tien, and even Yamcha. Cell is on an astronomically different level than Vegeta, and now he's just like everyone else, waiting for Goku. When Vegeta wakes up, he tries to put up a front of confidence, but quickly shows his vulnerability, but is cheered up almost immediately by Krillin. Vegeta will have a payoff at the end of the Cell arc. He has to. But as of right now, this is the most impactful moment he's had in the series. So, Krillin's a bitch. You know it, I know it, he knows it. But from the beginning of the series up till now, he's become less of a bitch. Up until the Android Saga, Krillin's only concern is staying alive. When Goku shows up to fight the Saiyans, Krillin pieces the fuck out faster than Goku could tell him he could. When him and Gohan find Freezer and his men, he quacks like a space duck to conceal their presence. Even after he gets his power up from Super Mega Ultra Hyper Turbo
1 hour later.
Bigger, Longer, and Uncut Guru, he still wouldn't even attempt to put up a fight against Vegeta for the Dragon Ball. It's not until he takes a step back from it all and understands he doesn't have to be the strongest to help. After Trunks' loss to Cell, both Trunks and Vegeta are in a state of distress. Trunks is overreacting, and Vegeta is still trying to spout false bravado. Krillin allows them to find comfort with him by saying,
Again, guys, come on. It's just me. Krillin. Everyone's friend.
This line is the basis of his character from the start of the Android arc. He's able to provide emotional support for those who are fighting, all by being a good friend. He allows people to let down their guard around him with his quirkiness and gives them space to be themselves. One of my favorite scenes is when Krillin and Trunks go to find Dr. Hero's lab again. Krillin starts making laser noises while trying to clear away debris. Trunks questions him about it, but then starts doing it himself. It's a sweet 10-second moment that adds to Trunks' character. Trunks has a too cool attitude for the most part. When he first shows up and kills Freezer's men, he has a badass demeanor and is ruthless in dismembering them. He's got a crucial mission he must achieve, to save his future and take down the androids. His calm and collected exterior is all a facade though, as Trunks is kind of a loser. He often makes mistakes and tells himself to just roll with it as if nothing happened. He opens a fucking time machine capsule on an airplane for God's sake. On the outside, he's an edgy badass, but on the inside, he's a kid who never had a chance to grow up. Thank God, because Kid Trunks is a dick. That one scene allows Trunks to almost be a kid again. Like he's having fun shooting lasers and shit. And it only feels right when Krillin is right next to him doing the same thing. Dragon Ball has an amazing supporting cast that is severely underutilized. It's only due to the fact that when the Saiyans become the most powerful thing to beat, all of the human fighters slowly fell out of relevance. DBZ Abridged rolls with that idea in the form of Tien and Yamcha. Yamcha is a meme. The fact that he's a meme is a meme, so much so that we have a canon episode of Super memeing on the fact that his meme is a meme. What the fuck am I doing with my life? In Dragon Ball Abridged, Yamcha is the embodiment of irrelevance. He's picked on by every character, he bows out of the fights before Android 17 and 18 even show up, he brings water and towels to the Cell games because it's the only thing he can possibly contribute.
Frankly, I'm just happy to be included.
Yamcha mirrors the way the entire supporting cast is treated through the end of Dragon Ball. They're just characters who are there and want to help, but end up not being able to stand a chance against any of the later villains. Tien rejects this idea with wholehearted passion. He refuses to sit on the sidelines and do absolutely nothing. In the original, Tien goes to stall out Cell, thinking what he does won't affect anything. But the abridged version goes to fight being driven by his warrior spirit, sort of as a last hurrah for himself and the rest of the Z fighters. It's a fitting farewell for their last moments to shine in the series. Piccolo's arc as a side character is one that has two phases. His first phase is the search of real friends. This shit starts out all the way back in episode 1. Piccolo tries to fill the loneliness in his life with friends on MySpace, a dead platform that nobody uses anymore. It's only when he switches to Facebook that he finds Nail, his first friend. The two of their personalities work so well together, as Nail has been trying to escape the nightmare of working for Super Mega Ultra Alpha Hyper Turbo
2 hours later.
Bigger, Longer, and Uncut Guru, so he jumps at the chance to find someone to take that away. Nail is noticeably happier after fusing with Piccolo. He has more chances to talk to someone who isn't constantly giving him shit. When Super Mega Ultra Alpha Hyper Turbo
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Bigger, Longer, and Uncut Guru is dying and calling for his former servant, Nail is absolutely terrified of being found. Piccolo and him benefit off of each other that way. When Kami fuses with them, their chemistry as a group really have a chance to shine, and that's all well and good, but this is still only part of the first phase. Nail and Kami are voices in Piccolo's head. Most people don't know who he's talking to whenever he talks to them, so his outward appearance still seems isolated. When he's beaten by Cell, Cell remarks that he died how he lived.
Drowning.
Alone.
He relates to Piccolo in his loneliness. We, as the viewer, know that Cell's observation of him is wrong, but it's not confirmed until the second phase. The second phase begins when we see the outward connections to Piccolo flourish, mainly Gohan. Gohan has always been a friend to Piccolo. Piccolo just hasn't realized it yet. It's when Gohan asks to wear Piccolo's gi that he realizes how much Gohan looks up to him. Piccolo actually starts out by almost blowing him off, thinking he wants a gi like his dad's. After that, it makes much more sense that he defends Gohan when Goku sends him to fight Cell. It's the inclusion of Nail and Kami having a more prevalent role and his slightly changed bond with Gohan that makes Piccolo's character one with actual progression. In the original, Piccolo is a cool character, sure, but after he helps fight the Saiyans, he's just accepted as one of the Z fighters. He doesn't have a character arc as everyone just kinda forgets what he did out in Dragon Ball. DBZ Abridged gives him such a long-lasting arc that spans through the whole series. Speaking of giving characters an actual arc, the villains of the Android Saga all have added factors to their characters that make them more complex than the originals. The Saiyans are fun villains for the first season, and I've already talked about what makes them special. For the second season, Freezer is fun, but he doesn't have any qualities that differentiate him from the original, besides his implied deeper history with Vegeta. He's the only outlier regarding villains in the series. He's by no means bad. Some of my favorite moments are of him being the maniacal overlord that he is. But compared to the androids and Cell, he can't compare. Android 17 and 18 were originally created by Dr. Gero. We never knew where they came from or why Gero turned them into androids. In DBZ Abridged, they were orphans that Gero kidnapped so he could have people to experiment on. They're people who are given enough power to do whatever they want. which in Trunks' timeline means destroying all the country music. A theme of their characters are expanded upon because they have free will. They're not programmed to kill and destroy, but choose to do so because they think it's fun. That was never explored in the original, as they just showed up and started killing the Z-Fighters. But in the History of Trunks movie, 17 contemplates on whether or not he wants to keep doing this. He comes to the conclusion that being a park ranger would be a cooler job to have. It's moments like these that give 17 and 18's characters some humanity. They make their own decisions, and they're not going to be bound by anyone telling them what to do, which causes them to kill Gero in the first place. 16, while his motivations are much like his original counterparts, gives 17 and 18 a lot of dry humor for them to bounce off of each other. They're the three amigos, and their interactions more resemble friends going on a road trip than androids trying to find and kill a guy. 16's original backstory is fucking non-existent, but the abridged version makes him a real character. There's a scene where Bulma goes over some of 16's hidden files, and what she finds is heartbreaking. It's a video of 16 as a human that he sent to his father, Dr. Gero, where he tells him that he misses him, but is abruptly interrupted by sirens. In the background of the sirens, we hear what seems to be Kid Goku charging up a Kamehameha. It cuts to static, implying his death at that point. This scene is supposed to take place during Dragon Ball, when Goku attacks the Red Ribbon Army's base. And while the event actually happened, the video is a completely new scene that was created specifically for the purpose of giving 16 some backstory. This gives Gero a new motivation as he now wants revenge on Goku for the destruction of his army and the death of his son. They didn't have to put that scene in there, but they wanted to expand the lore of things that Dragon Ball Z left out. Little things like that make the world more engrossing. If you've seen Dragon Ball, it's not only a bit of fan service, but gives context to the past. They love the world of Dragon Ball and want to share the same love with the viewer. Cell is hands down the best villain in the series. Each of his forms are memorable and have good motivations. Obviously, his first two forms want to reach perfection, like the original. But his perfect form is completely different. The original Cell wanted to create the Cell games because he was impressed with how much stronger Trunks and Vegeta had grown in such a short time. He wanted to figure out who the strongest person on Earth was, so he held a tournament and gave everyone enough time to get stronger. Abridged Cell creates the Cell games because Trunks tells him that once he's dead, no one will remember him. He creates a tournament so that the world can see who he is and what he's capable of. He also expects to find the perfect match within the tournament. He'll settle for no less than perfection. And he thinks Goku will give him what he wants. This humanizes Cell, showing them that he is actually scared of death, and if he does die, then the memory of his perfection will be nothing. That's so much more interesting than, oh, I'm the best and I want to prove it, like every other villain in Z. He was basically a stronger Frieza, except without the uniqueness of what made Frieza a good villain. If you haven't noticed, I have a lot of good things to say about DBZ Abridged. This is like one of my favorite things, but there is some criticism of it. I've heard the opinion that because DBZ Abridged has a lot to work with in terms of original material, it's an easier property to parody than SAO Abridged. Yes, Dragon Ball Z is better than Sword Art Online, but it's a more nuanced issue than that. SAO Abridged has taken the parody aspect of the genre and evolved it to make SAO Abridged not just a comedy series. Episode 12 starts the beginning of the fairy dance arc, and has a complete tone shift, which brings it into the realm of drama rather than comedy. It's a new experience that I hope they keep going forward with, but DBZ Abridged is a comedy through and through. The worst thing about DBZ Abridged is how the comedy undercuts some of the dramatic moments the series has to offer, but they just have different styles. Yeah, sure, they're both parody series, but they set out to do different things, so it wouldn't be fair to compare. DBZ Abridged has been around so long, and it's sad to think that it might stop after the Android saga. Kaiser Neko, one of the writers and actors of the show, has tweeted about it being the possible finale. If it is, I'm glad I could be there for it, because it's one of my favorite shows and has a legacy that'll stand the test of time. Okay, there are still so many things about DBZ Abridged that I didn't talk about. The comedy, the fight scenes, the outstanding voice acting. Like, seriously, there's too much to talk about in this show. Maybe I'll do another video about it. Just maybe. No promises. But if you want to find out if I do, subscribe to my channel. Like and share the video if you feel so inclined. Remember to check out those videos in the description, and hey! Love and peace, everyone.